Where's Ra's?
I did not want you to find out this way, but I suppose what is done is done.
Detective.
From its dark, pulsating opening credits to its sleek redesign of the Batsuit, Batman Beyond debuted with a firmly planted flag that the creatives behind this new show would be doing something new, something risky, with the legacy of Batman. And there's no better evidence of this than the episode Out of the Past. Its straightforward narrative on its surface appears to be a simple kid's cartoon, but upon closer inspection, you'll see that it just might be the perfect episode of Batman Beyond. But before we get too deep, please subscribe to the Nerdstalgic channel in order to keep up with all of our videos. Batman Beyond debuted in 1999 and lasted 52 episodes, comprising 3 seasons. The show was a direct spin-off of the wildly popular WB Kids Batman the Animated Series and Superman the Animated Series. WB execs came to Bruce Timm and Alan Burnett, the executive producers of the previously mentioned shows, and asked them for a new show that would focus on a young Batman. Initially, this idea horrified Timm, as a younger teenage Batman would A. go against the traditional canon, and B. violate the established continuity of the films and TV projects they've already created. However, after some internal discussion with other members of the WB animation team, Timm and Burnett returned to the WB higher-ups and counter-pitched a show that would be equal parts Batman and Spider-Man. The show would take place in the future. They would give Bruce Wayne an orphaned young man, Terry McGinnis, to mentor and wear a new Batsuit. This new teenage character would have all the teen romance, work-life balance issues, and weight of being a hero drama that Spider-Man has in his adventures, but with the added texture of a stern, elderly Bruce Wayne looking over his shoulder. The execs loved it, and they were off to the races. You might be thinking to yourself, what? Batman Beyond is not a Spider-Man show. It's cyberpunk, and there's literal Jokers running around. Both of those things are true, but look at the structure of the show. Terry's father is killed, and he blames himself for the loss. This guilt fuels his quest to do the right thing and help the little guy. He's got a perennially neglected girlfriend in Dana, and his villains are, well, a lot of them are reinterpreted Spider-Man villains, even ones that were pre-existing DC characters. I mean, think about it. Ink is Venom, Shriek is the Shocker, Spellbinder is Mysterio, Stalker is Kraven the Hunter, and last but not least, Blight is Norman Osborn. And while these characters were undoubtedly part of Batman Beyond's success, the real stroke of genius of the show was to position Terry as the protagonist. He's at the forefront of every episode. He's the one who solves the crimes. He's the one who gets into the fights. It's a Terry McGinnis show, not a Bruce Wayne show where he has a sidekick. In fact, the show was so dedicated to being Terry's show, there are very few examples of Bruce-centric stories at all. However, the episode in question, Out of the Past, is a deviation from that formula, and also does something else even more intriguing. But we'll get to that in a minute. Season 3, Episode 5, Out of the Past, was written by Paul Dini and directed by James Tucker, 2 longtime stalwarts of the DCAU and 2 of its most important players. The episode takes place on Bruce's birthday. It opens with Terry and Bruce attending Batman the Musical, a cheesy Broadway play depicting Batman's life. This scene is doubly charming because, of course, Bruce hates it, but also, it's really Kevin Conroy singing. The scene ends with a perfect Bruce Wayne line, after Terry tries to get him to enjoy himself a bit, saying that the play is schway.
It's schway. It's schwarbage.
Quite a few episodes begin with cold opens of Bruce and Terry doing something, but then veer off and follow Terry as he begins to investigate the cast of the week. However, this is when we get our first taste that this episode is not going to be like every other Batman Beyond story. From here, we follow Bruce back to the Batcave, where we see him cycling through photos of his ex-girlfriends. We see in rapid succession Zatanna, Lois Lane, Catwoman, and Barbara Gordon. And then, coming out of the darkness of the cave, we see Talia al Ghul, looking the exact age she did in Batman the Animated Series. Bruce and Talia catch up for a minute, and then Terry comes into the cave. He's a bit taken aback that Talia is there, but quickly adjusts. Over the course of the ensuing conversation, he makes a reference to Batman and Talia teaming up to take down Ra's al Ghul.
You helped the original Batman fight Raz one last time in the near apocalypse of '09.
This throwaway line is more than just world building though. It's a key example of the subtle and important ways that Dini, Tucker, and company use their prior existing narrative framework to build a world past just bootleg Spider-Man. The show really grounds everything emotionally in what has come before, but consistently builds and expands on it. Terry quickly learns that Talia is offering Bruce a trip to the Lazarus Pit with gaining eternal youth, if he'll agree to help her run a philanthropic organization spreading her father's wealth all over the world. Bruce initially turns it down, but we cut to Bruce getting into a scrap with some gangsters and failing to save a young woman. This causes him to agree to enter the Lazarus Pit. And here's where we get to the point of why there's been so much Spider-Man deconstruction in an episode about Batman Beyond. For Bruce, this story is about reclaiming his youth. For Terry, it's about facilitating his only remaining father figure's longevity. It's never played up, it's subtle. But this story is basically a, I'm being tempted to do something bad because it could save Uncle Ben. It's Terry wanting more than anything to make sure Bruce doesn't die, and going along with something he doesn't think is a good idea out of an emotional need. Beautiful character work. Talia, Terry, and Bruce make their way to a South American stronghold where Bruce is submerged into a Lazarus pit. Upon his emergence, he appears a good 40 years younger. However, just like everyone else who uses the pit before him, he comes out mentally unstable and attacks Terry. He's quickly subdued by the guards. Bruce regains his sanity after a little bit and begins to train in a gym located somewhere within Talia's compound. Terry is impressed with his friend's agility and physical acumen, but it doesn't sit right with Bruce. He knows this is unnatural and instantly regrets the choice he's made. Bruce decides they're going to leave the compound and go back to Gotham immediately. However, Talia and her henchmen have other plans. And then we get what every Batman Beyond fan has been waiting for, a real team-up. Bruce and Terry back-to-back, taking out goons, kicking in tandem. It's so satisfying, both on the literal level of the two Batmen being badasses, but also on the emotional catharsis told through action. For a split second, the weight of being Batman is lifted off Terry's shoulders. It's spread out over two people. The episode perfectly crystallizes both why it was so important to have Terry at the forefront of every story, and also how much fun it is when the formula is deviated from just slightly. As Bruce and Terry fight their way out of the compound, Bruce hears a familiar voice coming from a secret room. And then we get the big twist of the episode. Ra's al Ghul has put his mind in Talia's body. We learn that Ra's al Ghul has been behind the whole plot as means to make a new body for himself. He's going to pass himself off as the previously unknown son of Talia and Bruce. After a quick fight scene with Ra's al Ghul's Talia and Terry, the lab goes up in flames and Bruce and Terry barely escape with their lives. Terry tries to go back in, but Bruce says,
Whatever was in there died years ago.
We crossfade to a shot of Bruce back in the cave, looking at a photo of a much younger version of himself and Talia. And that's where the theme fully clicks in. This episode's high concept is Ra's al Ghul returns and we get a team-up of Terry and Bruce. But in reality, the episode is about romantic mourning. It's a final hurrah. A one last mission, but wrapped in failure and regret, and the fact that time will come for us all. It's about nostalgia. Both the nostalgia of, oh man, I wish I could see the old Batman and the new Batman fight goons together, but also the deeper, more painful nostalgia of old men whose lives have passed them by and who now have no future. That proves my point even more, that Batman Beyond is deeply influenced by Spider-Man. Every Spider-Man story is about how Peter screwed up, how he's filled with regret, and how, even when he wins, he really loses. And that's the ending point for this story. Bruce was tempted with the one thing that he can't reclaim, his youth. He even gives into it for a moment, literally experiencing the abilities of his much younger self, but it's hollow and empty, just like the connection he's feeling with Talia. He's tempted by his past romantic flame, but he can't allow himself to be led down that path again. The past is the past, and even if there's not a lot of future ahead of him, he has to move forward. This ending is arguably the most complex, subtle, and important ending of any Batman Beyond episode. Yes, people are going to point out the call or even epilogue as fantastic episodes featuring Batman Beyond, and they are, and arguably they're even better because they focus on Terry's characterization. But for me, this episode is a near-perfect final Batman story. You can keep your Dark Knight Returns and Your Kingdom Comes. In this story, Bruce's regret and internal despair come from the fact that he's alienated everyone, especially the women he's loved. And yes, his life's purpose of being a caped vigilante has moved past him, which is depressing, but it's not nearly as sad as the empty mansion up on a hill. And the knowledge that Bruce Wayne's single birthday wish is just to sit alone, scrolling through photos of lost lovers. And that's all we have for this week. What do you think? Should we do a perfect episode of Justice League next? Superman the Animated Series? Or maybe we should do an episode about the live-action Batman Beyond feature film that never was? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, please subscribe to the Nerdstalgic channel in order to stay up to date with everything happening with Nerdstalgic.